Beau is officially the best jungler in EU West. If you guys don't know who this guy is, he's a Chinese jungler who's come to Europe and he was able to hit rank 1 in about a month of playing there. Now that's pretty unforeseen stuff. It takes a special kind of guy to be able to do that. So what makes him unique? Well, backstory on him, he came from the LPL, he played for FPX and was 9-0, and then he was banned because he was a part of some match-fixing allegations, so he spent a year banned, and now he's joined LEC, he's joined Vitality over there, and he's absolutely dominating one of the best solo queue regions in the world. So, how does he do it? I've been watching his gameplay for about a month now. I've taken away 3 things that I've learned from him, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I was able to take away from Beau's gameplay is the fact that he has extremely high champion mastery. Now, what actually is champion mastery? Champion mastery is how well you pilot your champion in the game. It is your mechanics, it's your pathing, and it's your decision making. All of these things bundled up make your champion mastery. So let's take a look at Beau's champion pool. He's playing Graves and he's playing Talon. These are his 2 best champions. He is super proficient on these. He makes amazing decisions. He comes up with very unique plays because he's played the champions so much, and it's just a really good game every time he is on these Graves and this Talon. Now let's look at the rest of his pool. He's got Wukong, Diana, Kindred, and Talia. He plays these champions a bunch as well when it's not good games for Graves and Talon. So this what makes up the rest of his pool. So you might be wondering, okay, champion mastery, what makes Beau so special? Everyone has champion mastery at a high level. There's one tricks, there's pro players. Don't they all need to be good at these champions? And yes, they do. But a key learning to take away is Beau's thoughts on tier lists and Beau's thoughts on what's actually good in the jungle at the moment. So I'm going to bring up a tweet from him here, and it says that Trundle's number 1, Poppy 2, Wukong 3rd, 4th is Jarvan, and 5th is Vi. Now, there's been a patch since this, so yes, the tier list might change a little bit, but the premise still stays the same. So what actually am I taking away from this? It's the fact that his solo queue tier list only lists one of his champions that he actually plays in the top 5 of solo queue right now. So Beau is literally here accepting the fact that he's not playing the best champions, but he's playing the champions that he likes, and he's playing the champions that he's extremely proficient on, specifically these Graves and Talon a lot. He doesn't care what other people think. He doesn't care what he thinks himself, because he accepts the fact that champion mastery is the most important thing when it comes to climbing solo queue. You need to be good at your champion. You need to press your buttons right. You need to click right. That is the most important thing about League of Legends, especially at a high level. When you're versing all these amazing players, when they're all good at their champions, you need that high level of champion mastery, no matter how good or bad your champion is. He also down here at the bottom says Graves is only for ranking, so I think that means he's only good in ranked play and not competitive play, and we're all solo queue players, or most of us are going to be watching this as solo queue players, so he also thinks Graves is pretty good. So looking at champion mastery, we're looking at how Beau applies that to his climb. Now you might be wondering, how do you increase your champion mastery? So I've got a few ideas for you. The first thing to increase your champion mastery is play 100 games of your champion. So why 100 games? That sounds like a lot. And over time, you will understand if you do commit to this. I believe to have high champion mastery, you need to play a minimum of 100 games on a champion. No matter how good they are, no matter how bad they are, 100 games is what it takes. Because in the first 30, you're learning the mechanics. You're learning how to skirmish. You're learning how to team fight. And then the next 50 after that, you're learning how to move around the map appropriately. You're learning how to deal with objectives. You're learning with all the intricacies of the mid game. The early game is simple. You can learn the early game very easily in your first 20 games, but the game expands so much in the mid game, the late game. Getting close to those final 100 games, you get to a later stage where you start getting creative. You've learned all the basics of the champion. You've learned what everyone else knows about the champion, and now as you get close to that 100 level, you are learning to be creative. You're creating your new ideas. You're learning how to build your champion differently from everyone else. You're learning how to make unique plays that catch people off guard. And this is what I believe is champion mastery. This is what Beau does when he is playing his Graves. He is making unique plays, making crazy special plays that people just don't expect, and that is what is allowing him to carry an EUS solo queue, because no one sees a Graves like him. No one sees a Talon like him. They don't know what to expect, and this is what's allowing him to climb. The second stage is watching VODs, and you can do this while playing your 100 games. I think watching VODs is super insane. Obviously, if you want to learn champions like these, you can watch Beau's VODs, but there's plenty of one tricks out there. There's plenty of high elo players out there. Watching their VODs and how they do things, you can always pick something up when doing that. And then the final thing here is review. And if you take a notice, I've keyed these and all the champions as well. Playing the 100 games, pretty easy. You can just sit there and play. Watching your VODs, it can get draining. It's tiresome. And then the hardest thing to do is reviewing your own gameplay. Getting really meticulous. Once you've played 30 games or so of your champion, really start to review the games afterwards. Get specific. Why did I miss that skill shot? Why did I path this way? Why did I lose this skirmish? Really pounding on yourself and being critical of your own gameplay in your reviews. It is really draining, and even myself, I don't like doing this. It is so frustrating. You just lost a game, or you just stomped the game, and you don't want to review it because you won it, or you just got stomped. It's emotional and it's painful, but this is what it takes to have high champion mastery. So these are the 3 things that I recommend you guys to apply, and this is what I was able to take away from Beau in his champion mastery and execution in solo queue. So let's get on to the second point. So my second takeaway from watching Beau's gameplay is his aggressive pathing, and very specifically after the first base. I think junglers nowadays, they have a pretty good understanding of invading, how to gank, how to play defensively if they need to on their first clears. But I think Beau is really pushing the boundaries on this second base, on this third base, on this first base, all these periods of the game after your first base. So I've got a map drawn up here, and I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. So if we take a look here, imagine Beau has finished a clear already and he's redeploying on the map. If he has any kind of advantage, maybe even a longsword extra, he has tempo over the enemy, or he has a winning lane, he will use that to invade his opponent. What he does in his clears is he likes to clear one side of his jungle and instantly run to the enemy's side of the jungle. And he does this efficiently by tracking what camps his opponent has done with early wards, and also watching what side of the map the enemy jungler appears on. So this is one clear that he commonly does. I've got another example here as well. It is very similar, except this is just when the game is slightly different, the camps are different, the spawns are different. He will go and path from one side across the map and do the other. And obviously this is just the examples I've drawn up, but you can go from this side of the jungle to this side, or this side to the across. The main takeaway is the fact that he uses his advantages to invade the enemy jungle after clearing one of his sides of the jungle. So I've got some videos, and let's look at this in depth and actually how he does it himself. Okay, so for our first example of Beau's aggressive pathing here, we're going to see him playing Talon up against a Lee Sin, and he is going to be pathing downwards into the enemy jungle. So let's identify and try and figure out what Beau is thinking here. He knows that he has an item advantage right now. He knows that he has the serrated Dirk. He was able to get a kill early in his first clear on the Ahri, so he's going to be able to use his item advantage to invade this Lee Sin. He also has a pushing bot lane and a pushing LeBlanc that can roam very easily. So it's really easy for him to walk into this jungle and pressure out the Lee Sin, because even if he shows up with equal items, LeBlanc is going to be in Talon's back pocket. Now, from this invade, it's actually going to open up LeBlanc to roam down here for a dive onto bot lane. Very smart decision here by Beau to pick up this wave, eating over the wall and dragging the minions over. And now Lee Sin is going to show up, and he's actually going to hit a Q here. He's going to go in onto Beau. He's going to flash out, and then he's going to tragically fall. So what are the key takeaways from this play, of this first initial showing of aggressive pathing? First thing to take away is the fact that Beau used his pushing lanes and his serrated Dirk advantage to invade. Now, that's a lot of advantage. 2 pushing lanes and an item advantage, that's the best thing you could ask for. But I've seen Beau do this in many other situations when he does it with just the item advantage or just the lane advantage, and he has equal items. All he needs is one advantage, one minor thing, and he will exploit his opponent. So in this example, let's just imagine bot wasn't pushed, and let's imagine he didn't have serrated Dirk and he just had LeBlanc in his back pocket. He would still make this same play. So the takeaways here is the things that you can identify to push these leads. He's pathing to invade it because he knew this Gromp was spawning at the time he was invading. And then the final takeaway is Lee Sin's response. Lee Sin had to make a decision there in the moment. Do I fight here, or do I play super slow, which feels really bad for Lee Sin because he's already got his Gromp taken. He did his top camps really late into his clear, so they're not going to be up for another minute. So all Lee Sin could do there was take his wolves, and then he's got a bunch of free time. It's really hard to gank Jarvan, so that's not an option. So Lee Sin felt pressured. He engaged, took a really bad fight, and died for it. So Beau is making his opponents make split-second decisions, and sometimes they go wrong, sometimes they go right. But they go often more wrong because Beau has already taken into account this information, and he's ahead of the curve. He knows he has the advantage, so it is playing out better for him in a lot of these games. He also just plays it mechanically very, very well on top of that. So that's a quick explanation and breakdown of some of his gameplay. Let's go on to another example. Okay, so here for our second example, we've got Beau playing his Graves, and he is up against a Wukong. Now, identifying his advantage right now. Graves, Beau has got a full Umbral Glaive here. He's really strong at 6 minutes. But the other thing you've got to identify here is he's going to invade these bottom camps. He has been tracking Wukong this game, and he knows those Raptors have just spawned, and he's going to be looking for an invade here. So his advantage right now is this Umbral Glaive. But his 2v2 is actually not amazing right now. He's got Azir Graves versus Wukong Sylas. Wukong Sylas definitely pack a punch in the early game, but the reason he's going for this is the fact that he has this Umbral Glaive spike. Now, something to take into account here is he's actually at a disadvantage right now, because while he is taking this invade, if you take a look at his bot lane, his Alistar and Yasuo are both basing, and his enemy Nautilus has just come into lane. So Nautilus has really free rotate here. And I know Beau knows this. I know he's looking at these and taking this into account, but he's ready to take this fight. Even if this becomes a 2v3, he backs his mechanical prowess, and he backs his ability with this item advantage to win a skirmish. So here, really nice invade onto the camp. Wukong actually smited away the Raptors, but he jumps onto Wukong, chunks him out so he's out of the fight. Azir on the back end picks up the Wukong, but trades 1-for-1. Now Graves here is just going to outplay Febiven on his Sylas here, knowing his damage much better than Febiven does. And this is just an example of his champion mastery coming into hand. He knows he wins that 1v1. He didn't E away, didn't jump over the wall, and he stands there and stands his ground and fights. Want to draw your attention back again here to this moment. So we see Sylas running away. Really nice movement here on the Nautilus Q. Obviously, he was going forward anyways, but he dodges the Nautilus Q, and he knows how to play on this Nautilus here. Standing his ground, not instantly Eing over the wall, playing his auto attacks onto Nautilus, doing a bunch of damage to him, and also getting the auto while Eing to get a bonus auto out of his E, giving him that extra auto. So just overall, super fantastic levels of champion mastery here. But again, tracking your opponent's jungle camp spawns, invading with advantages. He had a Azir push, he had his Umbral Glaive, but also identifying where he loses. Sylas is a better skirmisher than his Azir, and Nautilus had move, but he takes these into account. He understands his limits of his champion really well, takes the fight, and he wins it. He's going to snowball the game absolutely impossibly hard for the enemy team to come back from this point. So another example from Beau. My third and final takeaway from Beau's gameplay is the fact that it has nothing to do with jungling this one. It's the fact that he one-tricks his off-roll. He is extremely good at off-roll, and he has a one-trick. And let me show it to you. Beau's one-trick is Samira. It is his second most played champion at the time of this recording, a 63% win rate on ADC. It is just so insane. Still the lowest win rate out of all of his other champions, kind of cringe. But seriously, 63% win rate in EU West, where there's a bunch of insane ADCs and he's playing off-roll. That is pretty damn good. Down here, you might notice it here as well. It says Beau's Knowledge Gap Champion. You might be wondering, what is a Knowledge Gap Champion? Now, two things to take away here. Yes, Beau is one-tricking Samira ADC, but two, Samira. Samira is a knowledge gap champion. A knowledge gap champion is a champion that people who are playing League of Legends at the moment don't truly understand. I saw a video out there from Skillcapped who encapsulated this really well, but think of champions like Yorick, think of Kled, think of, what's another one? Aphelios. Yorick, Kled, Aphelios. All of those champions, a lot of people have no idea what they do. You'll be 1v1ing a Yorick and he'll just one-shot you. You'll see a Kled and he'll one-shot you. You'll Aphelios, they'll one-shot you. All of these champions, people don't truly understand the limits of them. And Samira is the same. You guys have all seen those clips where Samira runs into a team 1 versus 5 on 1 HP. She spins around and it's a pentakill. This happens a lot, and this happens a lot in Beau's games. I'm sure I'm going to have some footage on the screen right now. He is incredibly good at this champion. So that's another thing to take away. But the main thing I want you guys to really learn from him is one-tricking your off roll. Being really, really good at your champion. So let's take a look for ourselves. How do we start off-rolling? How do we one-trick a champion? First, obviously, you got to choose your off-roll. So I'm going to show you guys my examples here. I am a jungler, but I also off-roll support. I used to play mid, I used to play top as well, but now I have settled on support. I think the skills translate super well from jungle to support. I think the knowledge is there, the roaming is there, and I know how to play with a jungler, so support for me is my primary choice. The second thing is choose your champion. I have played a lot of Nautilus, especially before the durability patches came in. I'm playing him a little bit less, but he's still my best support at the moment. And what is the reason I'm playing him? He's super good at engage. He's super good at joining up with junglers, so I'm playing to my strengths. I'm playing a champion I like to play, and I know how to play him really well. The third thing is master your champion, champion mastery. Speaking of playing him well, this is what you need to do. Understanding how to play your champion. We spoke about champion mastery before, so you guys understand what it is, but what is champion mastery to me? Let's use my Nautilus as an example. Understanding how to play lane, understanding your kill ranges. If I'm up against a Janna or a Lulu, these enchanter types, I know how to play aggressive against them. I know how to space against them, and I know when they're strong, and I know when I am strong. Knowing my roam timings, knowing the time that it won't hurt my ADC to leave their lane, all of these intricacies that go into playing another role, I need to understand, and I understand them super well on my Nautilus. If you throw me on a champion similar to Nautilus like Leona, she's similar, but I'm probably going to play her 10,000 times worse because my mechanics just aren't as good. There's a trick on Nautilus where you can auto attack a minion and throw your Q at the same time, and it'll cancel the Q animation. A lot of Nautilus don't even know about this, but I have a bunch of champion mastery on my Nautilus, so this is some little tricks that I know. Just like how Beau knows how to 1 vs 5 pentakill on Samira, I can cancel my Q animation on Nautilus. So guys, those are the things I was able to take away from Beau's rank 1 grind. If you guys think I missed anything, or you have some questions about some of the pathing or whatever it may be, put it down below, leave the video a like, and I'll see you in the next one.